Welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered every day by Go Chevrolet. Check them out online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Our crew over there, Lee Carney, Nick Richard, slinging cars for you. Used cars right here in Baton Rouge at Go Express Auto Sales. That's on the corner of Florida Boulevard and Sherwood Forest. You can find them there very conveniently out in LaPlace, Louisiana. You can find them out there for a brand new car selection. Travel nightmare for your boy over the last 10 hours. I'll tell you all about it coming up here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Was supposed to be at the Counting Crows concert last night at the Sanger Theater. Took off at about 6 o'clock after...
What time's the concert?
8 o'clock.
Pretty responsible.
I mean, I was...
That's accounting for something.
Pulling up to the Bon Carré Spillway at about 6:45. I mean, I texted Kelly, should I come pick you up or should we meet at the place where we're going to eat?
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Should you
We're
Uber?
on the way. It's all good.
Right.
We're rolling.
I mean, we're good, man. We're good. We're rolling into town and then just hit a brick wall. I mean, an absolute wall of traffic. 4-hour traffic jam yesterday. Got to her house last night at about 10 o'clock.
No concert.
Couldn't make the concert, bro. Concert was a lost cause. Figured that out about 30 minutes into the traffic jam when I had moved about a half a mile. No end in sight. Turns out an 18-wheeler exploded on the spillway yesterday. Just totally blew up.
You thought you had a bad day.
Exactly. A little bit of perspective for your boy. Keep it all kind of... It was good to catch up on some work, catch up on some emails, made some phone calls, watch the Monday Night Football game.
Yeah. Did you pee in the road? Pee in the street?
Didn't have to. Was starving.
Yeah.
Starving. But turns out they're diverting traffic away from I-10. They had totally shut down I-10 going into New Orleans. Bon Carré Spillway. So, like, as you go over, the Pontchartrain was shut down.
Right.
So now
I'm trying to wonder how to get there after
So now
that.
they're turning people into LaPlace, which has no power.
Get you a car, though.
They've got no gas. They've got no power. Right? So the lights are out in LaPlace. The stoplights are out in LaPlace.
Town is down.
Yeah, the town is, it's totally black, dark. I mean, just pitch dark. I mean, there's not a light on. And, I mean, when you get off in LaPlace, it's bumper-to-bumper traffic. I mean, as far as your eyes can see, you see nothing but brake lights. Nothing but brake lights. So you got to take LaPlace to Airline Highway. Once you get to Airline Highway, then you got to take that into New Orleans and you get back onto the interstate.
And everybody's doing it.
And everybody's going into New Orleans. This is 6 o'clock yesterday afternoon, man. I mean, like... it's not rush hour, but it's kind of rush hour.
Yeah. This has to be on Twitter.
Oh, it was. I mean, I was like, what the hell is going on? You know, I mean, like, there's got to be something. And then Kelly kind of went into it in, kind of investigative mode and sends me the link. And turns out the 18-wheeler had blown up on the spillway yesterday afternoon. Torched, bro. I mean, some of the images, yes, that were popping out of this thing. I mean, fire, billow of smoke, fireballs into the air, fire rolling over the side of the bridge into the water. I mean, passing by traffic on the westbound lane, I mean, like, there's some images of people, like, shooting video going by this thing that are just, like, you have to see it to believe it. I mean, it looks like apocalyptic type stuff, man.
Oh, man, the guy that's running the DOTD New Orleans traffic was busy last night. Jesus, he hasn't tweeted this much in months.
Oh, I bet.
Could you imagine having that job? Like, I don't even know what's going on.
Well, I mean, just like, there's probably like 3 weeks of just nothing to do, and then one day an 18-wheeler explodes in the spillway, and next thing you know, you got to
call the bat signals up.
Divert traffic through a powerless city.
He's just trying to watch the Monday Night Football game.
Bro, it was... a nightmare of a traffic scenario, but from a perspective, I was not in that 18-wheeler.
Right. What is your feeling on traffic? When do you start getting? Because, I mean, people that know you are passionate, is one way to put it. But how long until you're like, all right, pulling my hair out, mad? Like, how long does it take for traffic to settle in that you're in a jam and you don't like not being able to do anything? You like to be in control. And that seems to be like just your ultimate scenario where it's like, what the F is going on right now? I don't have any answers?
I have learned to, you got to let go of the things that you can't control. You know what I mean? Like, the things that you can't control, you got to just let them go, man. I mean, if you stress over that, that'll put you in your grave early.
Right, but it starts to hit you. There's no, now I'm not going to make it to the concert. When am I going to even get in town?
The initial wave was the worst. Just like, are we going to miss this concert? Like, we've been looking forward to this thing for like a month and a half, man. And it was like kind of like the UCLA trip where you were like, I don't even know if this is going to happen. You know, like, I mean, there was so much. I was like, I don't know if we're going to do this Counting Crows thing. I just don't know if the city's going to allow it.
Right.
And turns out that everything was functioning and moving on. So we were like, man, this is going to be great. You know what I mean? We're going to go check out this concert. Counting Crows at the Sanger. Little Monday night entertainment. Eat good.
Sleep good.
Yeah, right. Get up the next morning, come back in. I mean, bro, 9 o'clock last night, I'm still sitting in Laplace. Bumper to bumper traffic. And then, so I got about 25 miles till I'm empty on gas. Last night when I pull into Kelly's house. I thought about stopping and getting some gas before getting to her place, but I'm like, bro, I'm starving. I'm so tired. I'm like, I'm just over it, man. I'm just pulling up. I'm going to bed. I'm eating and going to bed.
Oh, what a turn. What a heel turn from such a great night to now you don't even want to be there, really. Like, if I could turn around and go home, I would.
No doubt about it. But you're too far in it.
Right, well, yeah.
Then Old Faithful, my gas station that I usually hit up on the early mornings when I'm traveling back from New Orleans on the early morning venture, no gas. Doesn't have any gas.
You've lived 1,000 lives in 2 days.
I mean, I'm like, am I going to run out of gas on the way home? And then obviously in Laplace, there's no gas. I got to make it all the way to Donaldsonville, Sorrento on the reserves. When I tell you, Lizzie, I am pushing fumes out of the muffler, bro. I thought for sure I'm calling somebody to bring me a gas tank. Bring me a gas can.
You're the asshole not from New Orleans, in New Orleans, asking for gas. Like, you know what we're going through right now? It's like, well, I'm just trying to get back home.
I mean, it was brutal, bro. It was brutal. But we're here, and we're glad to be here. We're going to talk some New Orleans Saints. Jeff Duncan of NOLA.com and Times-Picayune is going to be here at 8 a.m. this morning. We're going to talk to Jeffrey about some of the latest with the Saints. What about these COVID protocols, how they affected them last Sunday in Carolina? What's he expect this week as the Saints are back home, back working? So we'll talk to him about what's going on with the Saints coming up here at 8 o'clock this morning as the Saints are in preparation for visiting New England. They're heading up to Foxborough this weekend to take on the Patriots. So we'll talk to Jeff about what the challenges are this week, what's it been like here for the start of the season from his perspective for Sean Payton and crew coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. As always, we talked to Frank Wilson at 7:30 this morning. Nice win for the Pokes last weekend versus Southern University. Back-to-back weekends for Coach Wilson and McNeese over here in Baton Rouge. We'll ask him how that may have benefited him in the on the recruiting trail. So we'll talk to Coach Wilson coming up here at 7:30 this morning. Daily, we are brought to you by Papa Earl's Spice. Remember, Papa Earl, you can find them anywhere you shop locally. So Rouse's, High Neighbor, Calandro's, 30% less sodium than the competition. Next time you're out in the market and looking for some new spice, check out Papa Earl's Spice, the official spice of the Jordy Culotta Show. True Blue Water is here every day. If you want to get on the delivery route, check them out at TRUBLUE water.com. That's truebluewater.com. You can also, all of our guests via the phone line today are compliments of Metropolitan Health Group. Real doctors, real solutions, and every day we drink coffee over here. It's brought to you by DeliciousSips.com. Majestic coffee, majestically brewed down here in South Louisiana. Online at DeliciousSips.com. Lots from Coach Ed Ogeron yesterday as he was speaking to the media in his regular Monday presser as he met with the media, and some sad news to start off the press conference. Back-to-back weeks. It's been a pretty somber start to the press conference, obviously, last week with the tragic news of Kavion Falk, Kevin's daughter, who passed away so tragically last week. And then this week he starts it off, and not comparable, but you feel for Andre Anthony, the senior defensive end who has been at LSU and meant so much to this program over the last really kind of year and all the way up through this season. His leadership has been very much in the public. I mean, you have seen what he has meant to this team by the way that he carries himself On social media, it's easy to see that he's very prideful about LSU. He loves being here. He loves his teammates. He loves the program. And he was really, the saddest part about it, in my opinion, is he was balling, man. I mean, he really was having a great start to his final season. Obviously, he made the play on Saturday night on the scoop and score after Stingley came up and popped the Central Michigan wide receiver. And he was out in the open running. But, I mean, the way that he was getting into the backfield routinely through the first 3 weeks of the season was really something good to see. And you thought about some of these guys. I mean, B.J. Ojulari yesterday was named SEC Defensive Lineman. Shout out to our guy, B.J., for his performance on Saturday night as he leads the nation in sacks. And already through 3 games here of his sophomore seasons, he's got more sacks than he did in his All-American freshman year. So BJ looks like he's going to step in and keep that production up. But, I mean, it gave you an idea of just how deep they were at that position. They transition Mason Smith from his hand in the dirt to standing him up now at defensive end. And, my God, man, I mean, the versatility of this kid, I mean, it's just scary to think about. I mean, for as good as he has been playing as a down lineman for LSU, as an interior defensive lineman, and you've got the luxury to stand that guy up and put him as a defensive end. I mean, as Coach Orgeron explained yesterday, he's really a prototypical left defensive end in the NFL. I mean, he fits the size, the physique, the speed, the athleticism already, right? I mean, he's still got 2.5 years inside of a college weight room, inside of a college workout program where he's going to continue to transform his body, speed, and skill. But Andre Anthony out for the season. It sounded like they were trying to make some moves to possibly get him back for another year. I mean, he was saying that there's some options on the table, but I don't know if Anthony would. I mean, would that be his 7th year?
I think so. I think it would be his 7th year. And if you're Anthony, there's no way you come back, right? You have to go and kind of based off.
I would think so.
You have to see what you've already put out there and go test the draft waters and see, because obviously this is the worst case scenario for him, to be injured in what would be your last year playing well. Like, defense is kind of focused around what this defensive line is doing, so there's a lot of tape out there. But for it to happen now, I don't see him coming back. That would be wild. I mean, he's no Slade Bolden, but I don't think he has. I don't think he has another LSU year in him.
Slade Bolden. How did he dupe Nick Saban?
And Nick Saban won't give up on it. That's the thing. He's not taking the L on this. He keeps throwing him out there, not to besmirch Slade Bolden, but it is shocking to see him out there as a punt returner and as a wide receiver every time he starts, every game.
On that roster.
On that team.
So, feel terrible for Andre Anthony, really and truly, to start off the show today. I mean, I was thinking yesterday in the traffic jam, the one player that you would hate. I mean, obviously, you don't want to see anybody get hurt, but you know in football at some point you're probably going to have to deal with an injury, right? If you go this season, you know that one of your key players is probably going to suffer something, whether it knocks them out for the year or it limits them for a certain amount of time. And Andre Anthony would have been so far down the list of guys that you would have liked to seen this happen to, just because of
everything,
the dues he's paid, the things he's gone through, the time that he's put in, the love that he shows, the leadership that he's continuing to step forward with here in his final season, and see him knocked out just 3 games in. You feel terrible for him, man. You really do,
it's just not fair. None of this is fair. Can't go to the Counting Crows. Andre Anthony can't finish out his season. Slade Bolden's out there running around.
Slade Bolden, man.
Did you watch?
What does he have on Saban?
It's something. I don't know what it is, but it's something.
Mean, good God, that ball hit him in the face mask on Saturday. Hit him in the face.
And now Bryce Young's too good for him. Like, he's like, I've never played with a quarterback like this. You're throwing it too hard at me. But he's out there. Don't you worry. You'll see him.
I doubt Bryce Young even gives him another attempt here.
No, it's the Mechie show.
That's how you lose immediate trust in somebody that's throwing you the ball.
Catch it with your mouth.
There's nobody within 30 feet of you, and you knocks you between your eyes.
You watch any M&F Monday Night Football? Did you do?
I was just kind of, I had really had a lot going on for
not doing anything.
Yeah, for not doing anything. I couldn't get into the Manning broadcast just because I was doing other stuff, man. I mean, but I was just kind of peeking back and forth at the game. Rodgers doesn't seem as checked in.
Not yet. He'll get there.
The season hasn't started.
The season hasn't. So he's still on. He was in Hawaii forever.
He's still got his long hair.
Yeah, I mean, he's just
still a little
just
stoned
baked.
almost.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly what it looks like.
It feels
he's
like
lethargic.
He very much. I mean, even the way that he talks, his hair, his eyes. I mean, he's just kind of, what's up, man?
I was shitting on him last week, but because of how he was like checking out. But now that he's not playing the Saints, I'm kind of into it. I'm kind of digging his the whole thing that he's going for, which is just. It's all right. We'll be good. I'm not worried. I'll figure it out once we get kind of rolling. Seems like he didn't practice that much, I'm sure. He knows the playbook, obviously, so he'll get there. By week 8, there'll be a well-oiled machine, shit running downhill, because that's what he does. He eases himself into the system. If you remember, he did the RELAX, 2 years ago. So this is how he does it. He slow plays it.
Please make sure you like, share, comment on all of our posts. We appreciate that. That puts our product in front of more eyeballs, and that's good for us, and we appreciate you being here. You don't even have to like it. You can dislike it if you want. Just interact with us on any platform. That's Facebook, YouTube, JordyCulottaShow.com. Get over there. You can pick up your gear. Auburn, the game was announced that game will kick off at 8 o'clock. A week from Saturday, and I gotta be honest, bro. That's good stuff.
That's dangerous, Terry. That's a dangerous game.
That's the stuff I like, man. That kind of brings me back. I mean, I will not miss an 8 o'clock game at Tiger Stadium when it is pitch black, dark night inside Tiger Stadium. The lights are glaring. The place is packed. The tailgaters have been out there since 10 in the morning. I mean, the fall weather is knocking on the door.
They said it's coming tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
Yeah.
I thought it was later this week, but it's tomorrow. I mean, nothing can get you into the tailgating spirit better than a crisp little chill at 7 o'clock in the morning when you open up the door, bro. And you give me an 8 o'clock kickoff in Tiger Stadium on a nice fall day. That is dangerous, bro.
Coming off a win against Mississippi State.
That is dangerous.
Is this LSU's last ace card to play? If they could control it, the 8 o'clock kickoff at night is peak LSU football in terms of just home field advantage. If LSU wins Mississippi State, get this thing rolling like that game is going to be wild.
No, the momentum that you could not only bring in to Tiger Stadium that night, but leave with is really, to, in my opinion, this is here's the pivot point of the season for LSU of who you are going to be, right? Like, I mean, I know that we have been highly critical of the program, the head coach, everything up to this point. Sure, you're definitely not pulling for failure. But this is the point, in my opinion, where you're going to look back and say that was the transition of the year. That was the pivot point of where LSU, they either lost control of it or they regained control of it and said they are a contender within the SEC West. Because as we've pointed out continuously, this is really when it ratchets up. The last weekend of September, going into October, you will have a clear understanding of just who LSU is. And if LSU can go into Starkville on Saturday, exercise the demons of Mississippi State from last year and win that game, get over the hump of Mike Leach and that offense really embarrassing him. I mean, Ogeron said it yesterday a couple of times on just how embarrassing that game was for the program, for the players, and for him, coaching staff last season. How embarrassing that was. And get over to Starkville, take care of that 11 o'clock game. You've got a full week to get ready for Auburn coming in on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock on a nationally televised game in front of what could be a full capacity Tiger Stadium. I mean, I'd imagine that people are going to put up and go through the mandates and the protocols and everything to get inside of the stadium for an event like that if LSU only has one loss on the docket going into that game a week from Saturday.
You say embarrassed, but you talk about the Mississippi State game. I think it was exposed. It felt like that was the blueprint going forward. Everything after that Mississippi State game and what Mike Leach did on offense was the blueprint for every team since they played, since that game. That was the film that they put out, and every team after they saw that was the game plan. Do exactly what Mississippi State did because LSU can't stop the crossing routes, and that's what made the UCLA game so hard to watch and so almost demoralizing, is because Well, that's what Mike Leach did. Did we not fix that? I thought that was the whole impetus for the hire and all of these new changes? So this is like they say it's, I don't want to say revenge game, but it could be a total pivot point for like, look, we're back to LSU being football.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Back to LSU football.
Exercise the demons.
Yes.
Get rid of just this voodoo, right, that you've got hanging over your program right now of that Mississippi State game, Mike Leach, and just kind of the legend that he gave to offensive minds out there on how you beat them, how you can confuse them, how simple of a plan it really can be to keep them on their heels. And Ogeron, I think, really recognized that yesterday. I mean, I think he obviously, with last year's outcome, it's tough to dispute. But, I mean, think about if that was your trade, right? Like if you were a football coach for a trade and you've been in it for 35 years and somebody comes in to your house as a defending national champion and does that to you. I mean, that is like, keep your head down. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody type. I'm not sleeping tonight type stuff. So I'd imagine that he's been in the back of his head. He's probably been thinking like, we need to get past this game. We need to get past this game for our own sanity. You know what I mean? Like if Leach comes out and runs circles around him again, I mean, that would be, like that's the pivot point. Like that would be, if he does that again, now what we're talking about on what the Auburn atmosphere could be, it's not going to live up to that. It'll still probably be great because it'll be a night game in Tiger Stadium and people have been yearning for that opportunity. Just give me a chance to go into that place under the lights in a big game matchup, right? Where so I still think, win or lose this weekend, that people will be there for the Auburn game next Saturday night in Tiger Stadium. But if you lose it, it's going to lose some icing on the, it's going to lose some of the pull. Yeah, right. I mean, some of the cachet of it.
I think that if people show up to this, if Mississippi State doesn't go the way LSU wants it to, and the people will show up at Auburn, it's going to be a totally different mindset than the one it would be. Like, they're going to show up like the Roman Coliseum, foaming at the mouth. They want blood.
Yes.
Instead of they're pulling for LSU to like, all right, maybe we got this thing right. But if it's coming off a loss, they'll still go. 8 p.m., and pissed off Tiger fans is a wild scene to be a part of when you're in that stadium, because if they're mad, the boos immediately come out. First time out LSU calls on offense whenever the play clock's running down, the thumbs are coming out. It would be just a total 360 of what you want the environment to be, because there's no doubt they're not going in there sober.
No. 8 o'clock kickoff, man. I mean, this is some old school stuff, man. This is back in the day when LSU was on ESPN2. They weren't the biggest draw. That was the game. That was the one you wanted, man. That was the one when we were growing up that, I mean, I couldn't wait for. Those were the best days of LSU tailgating that I can remember. Even if you got out there at 2 o'clock, you were still early.
Still got 6 hours.
You know what I mean? Like we still got an opportunity here, but I mean, God forbid you show up at 9 or 10 and what the day could really be like. I mean, it's war. With the sun shining, blue skies, no clouds, and LSU playing a top 25 matchup at 8 o'clock at night. I mean, good Lord, man. I mean, that's about as good as it gets for LSU fans and South Louisiana folks, man.
Certainly, because there was a point in time whenever LSU wasn't good enough to be on that 2:30 game. They were that fringe team that like, oh, I hope, like, when I would go to games, it's like, I hope CBS doesn't pick LSU to be the 2:30 game. I want to go to the 8 o'clock ESPN2 game. Like, that's the one that you were looking forward to. And then we got to a point where LSU was too good that they always were the 2:30 game. Like, they were always the draw. So to get this kind of, like, not everything's bad about losing the first game of the year if you can have something like this. It seems like it's always Auburn, too, which is like, I think Demetrius Byrd, I think Matt Flynn. That's what I think of, and I think Auburn, 8 p.m.
I think Michael Clayton decapitating somebody on an onside kick to start the game back in 2001. I mean, it might have been an 8:30 kickoff. I mean, it felt like it was midnight when they kicked that thing off, and Clayton just went down and peelayed somebody on the opening kickoff, which LSU got an onside kick, and that's as loud and as fine of an environment that I think LSU can paint a big-time matchup at 8 o'clock at night
Did Saban do a little surprise onside kick? Is that
yes.
what that was to start the second half?
No, start the game.
That's what it was, yes.
Start the game, man. I mean, it was...
Give the people what they want. What a call.
And just blew them out. And the next week you're in Atlanta playing for an SEC title. Earthquake game. I mean, think about that game.
It's always Auburn.
Brian Burgess just typed that in. Was that an 8 o'clock game? Because if I recall, Brian... Help me out on this. When it kicked off, was it was daylight? I want to say that was a 6:30. That was a ESPN primetime game that just went into the night. But either way, I mean that was obviously 1988. But
we're just figuring out TV at this point,
right?
Sneaky. It's a sneaky clunker game. Like it wasn't a good game.
It was a terrible game.
Yeah, but nobody thinks
terrible
about
game.
that.
It was a terrible. I mean, LSU didn't cross midfield until the fourth quarter.
Been there.
All right, so we will be. We'll talk to Frank Wilson here. We'll talk to him about his trip to Southern University last weekend, what that impact had on recruiting. Don't forget, we're going to talk to Jeff Duncan coming up here at 8 a.m. this morning. Duncan will be in talking about the New Orleans Saints. Saints are in Foxborough this weekend. They're taking on New England. We'll see what the status is of some of these players that were out over the weekend, and we will talk to Duncan about New Orleans and their trip up to Boston coming this week. And next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Remember, daily here on the Jordy Culotta Show, we're brought to you by A-Bear Specialty Meats. Get in touch with A-Bears. They're on Highway 73 out there in Dutchtown. You can stop in and pick up. They've got great freezer selections for you. If you want to pick up something to eat on this week, maybe a deboned stuffed chicken that they're known for, or a great selection of steaks, of gumbo, etouffee. They've got that all pre-made inside of their freezers over there. Stop and check it out. But they also have crackling over there that you can pick up if you're looking for something to snack on, whether it's in the office or just driving around on your sales job today. Get in touch with A-Bears. Highway 73, as you can find them out there in Dutchtown, right there in the Dutchtown Shopping Center. A-Bear Specialty Meats, fine sponsor here of the Jordy Culotta Show. Frank Wilson from McNeese, head coach of the Pokes. We come back here in about 45 seconds. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU bluewater.com. Papa Earl's, the fine spice, originating right down here in South Louisiana by our guy Mark Pop Norman. Developed it back in 2018 and won Amazon's Newcomer of the Year in 2019. They pride themselves in having 30% less salt and sodium than the leading brands at the same price point. You can find them locally. Look for Papa Earl's at Rouse's, Calandro's, Mathern's, High Neighbor, and more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Welcome back in here to the Jordy Culotta Show. Shout out to Nick Richard from Go Chevrolet. Saw him stopping inside the bunker over there on YouTube. Remember, stop in and check out our friends over at Go Chevrolet Used Car Lot at Go Express Auto Sales right here in Baton Rouge on Florida Boulevard in Sherwood Forest. Brand new car lot out there in LaPlace, Louisiana. Easy to find all of the inventory online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Coach Frank Wilson and the Pokes got a nice bounce-back win last weekend right back here in Baton Rouge, 31-24 winners over Southern University. A really nice game up on the bluff and a good win for the Pokes as they are now looking forward to Incarnate Word this weekend. And yes, you hear the man there relieving his voice because this is a game that we've been talking about since the spring as Coach Wilson got onto McNeese's campus, couldn't play in the fall, had to play in the spring, everything, all the adversity that they faced. They went and played an incredible football game, had opportunities, and this is one that has been circled for a while, and really looking forward to talking to Coach Wilson this week here. Back on the Jordy Culotta Show. Coach, nice win. Good to have you back.
Glad to be back. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Coach. Before we get into your squad, before we get into the preparation, some of the things going on with the Pokes, we were talking about 8 o'clock kickoffs in Tiger Stadium. LSU Auburn's going to kick off at 8 o'clock next Saturday night. And for me, growing up in Baton Rouge, growing up an LSU fan, and then covering the program for the last 12 years, that's about as good as atmosphere as college football can create. A night game in Death Valley. You have recruited to that. You have coached in that. You have seen that place at its best. I still see Leonard Fournette running through the Ole Miss defensive back in the LSU night. Can you tell me some of the memories, some of the high points of what LSU night games mean for a coach, a recruiter, somebody of your stature in college football?
It's a special night. The faithful get there early and get a little water in their system. Wink, wink.
It's in a water bottle.
And then the pageantry, the ambiance of everything that what you want in college football. The stage is set. It's ironic. I share with people sometimes, even when our undefeated regular season, the time when I was at LSU. We had a couple of CBS or whomever bought out the games, and we had a couple of daytime games. And as well as we played, nobody cared when there was a daytime game. The faithful want to be in Death Valley when it's nighttime. And it was always that cry for that. It's something about the mystique and Billy Cannon in 1958 and versus Ole Miss and all those memorable moments when the Valley shook. And speaking of the rival you're talking about, the Auburn LSU game, and talk about running through Ole Miss. I remember that guy number 7 running through Auburn and defenders jumping on his back and jumping on side of him because of the excitement that game had brought about. But a classic, one of the true SEC rivals.
I still see you and him taking that picture in the middle of Tiger Stadium in front of a packed house when he had set the record in his sophomore season, and you guys were able to take a special shot in the game. I remember you with your headset on and your arm around Leonard Fournette, a guy that you had recruited since he was a freshman in high school. You had to be proud of the way your team bounced back on Saturday, right?
I was. We to get the first one. The first one is always could be elusive. And we went on a bluff and a very, very talented team in Southern and that have a lot of ties there. As you know, Ryan Pugh, who was with us at LSU and went on to go to BYU with Jeff Grimes and then became the offensive coordinator at Troy State. And then a short stint with Dave Aranda at Baylor is now the offensive line coach there. And several other, Darren Drago, and I mean about 3/4 guys that are on that staff that has been with us over the last decade. Wow. So a lot of respect for including the head coach himself, Jason Rollins. So a very talented coaching staff that they have there, and a team that was game to play well at home. And so, it started off just the way you couldn't draw it up any better. Opening kick to the house and And then the Gambits came out, and they shot their bullets and jumped to and ran to a 21-10 halftime lead. We weathered the storm, gathered our composure, and came back the second half at 21 unanswered points, produced several 3-and-outs, held them in the third quarter to 35 yards, in the fourth quarter to 70 yards. And so really started to play our style of football, but an outstanding football game played by both teams, and very fortunate to come out with the win.
Coach Ogeron was very complimentary of your defense. It was very complimentary of your program last year, and just kind of last week in wrapping up, just kind of his thoughts on your team and looking forward to Central Michigan. But he spent some time talking about your defense and highlighting how well you guys played in Tiger Stadium and what he anticipated from that group kind of moving forward. Where are you on your defense? It sounds like they're really starting to click and buy in as you talk about that yardage given up in the second half and watching them play 2 weeks ago. I mean, that's a really athletic unit.
Yeah, I think so. I think we have a formidable group up front in our front four. We're too deep, so we can rotate some guys in and not drop off. Guys like, I don't know if you remember Jarvis Green and Skyler and all of them. Their nephew, Cord Green, is the inside guy for us. Young man played at De La Salle High School, but he kind of anchors it down in there for us, along with our All-American, of course, Isaiah Chambers, and all-conference player Mason Kinsey at the other end. And so we're pretty stout inside, and the young man from Alexandria, Joey McNeely. We're stout inside, and then we're talented on the back end, led by a New Orleans native kid, Kobe Richardson from McMain High School, and our all-conference, all-American safety, Andre Sams, our free safety. And then the transfer of Chris Joyce, a young man that came to us from Tulane. And then, of course, our state player of the week, Southland Conference player of the week, Corian Harris, by way of Landry Walker. That was with Coach Miles up at Kansas. He came in and played outstanding for us, played the game of his career here for sure. And then we were complimented also by Jarius Wallace, a young man from John Ehret, who we picked up recently from Arizona. So the portal has been good to us in spots, and you saw that in last week's game for us. The last 2 weeks defensively, we have some talent over there, and hopefully we can keep it going with some Louisiana guys. So proud of that.
A lot of those guys that you mentioned come down the I-10 corridor, which is this show is very popular along that line. What does it do for bringing the brand to Baton Rouge 2 weeks in a row and having really two solid performances, a win last weekend and a really good showing versus LSU 2 weeks ago? How does that help recruiting out?
Tremendously. You know, we had some young men who were able to partake in the LSU game and saw that we're not quite there yet, but we're on our way. And with a couple of more recruiting classes, you can build it to sustain for some time. And we say to them, you're the missing link. Mm-hmm. You know, we're making progress, but we need more. We need depth. We have to do it. You can't just do it in one recruiting class or so. You have to put a couple together so that you have the quality. And as what happened in the LSU game, especially from an offensive standpoint, once we started dropping guys at the offensive line, the gap was just too great right now from the first guy, the second to the third, to go against someone like the caliber of an LSU defensive front, and we just could not sustain. And so we need to continue to recruit well to get the depth that we need. By the time our first guy went down and their second guy, number 0, comes in, he's playing better than the guy who was the first guy for LSU. Right. And then the next guy after him plays just as good as well. Right. And so that's where quantity, the quality of it becomes essential. And I think us playing in-state, us playing in Baton Rouge does well for us. It allows our brand of football to be shown to recruits who may not have seen us in quite some time.
Internet word, I know that they got your attention in the spring. You talked about in that game, after that game, that you were looking forward to the matchup in the fall, and here we are. How do you look forward to this week, and what's the challenges that they present to you on Saturday?
High-paced, spread, wide-open offense, fun and gun, old Texas Tech style. Mm-hmm. And so it creates concerns because they throw it all over the yard. and to be able to get aligned and get everyone where they need to be and to play sound and structurally, it will be important. A quarterback that's as prolific of a passer that we'll face. He can really throw it. He can negotiate his throws. He has arm talent. He has hand talent. He has a little Mahomes-ish in him in running to the left and throwing it back to the right. A very talented quarterback that makes that team go. And what's important is that, when it's time to scramble, what happened to us a year ago, guys come off, secondary guys come up to support the run, and there you have it. Balls go over your head, kind of like Johnny Manziel used to do back in the day. And so our ability to be able to get rush up front and still provide solid coverage on the back end will be challenged. I think if we can do those things, we'll have opportunities in this game to play well. I think offensively we'll put some things together to help us become better on those early downs. That's an area where we have to improve on. We're playing way too many snaps on third down and then in those third down situations, and that's a direct reflection of the things that we're doing on first, getting the plus 4 yards that we desire.
How's your health going into the matchup?
We're not bad. Offensively, we everybody who played last week will be back. Again, we still are without a guy who we were super excited about, C.J. Powell, from the transfer from Louisiana Tech. And so hopefully in the next couple of weeks we can get him back. Offensive line, I don't know if we'll get any of those guys back who weren't with us, but I think we have enough. We have guys that have stepped up and done a solid job for us. I think we'll be just fine. I like our team, and I like our chances in this game.
One, and I'll get you out of here. Tyrann Mathieu, to me, is going to wear a gold jacket one day. He is, in my opinion, the best LSU Tiger I've ever witnessed play defense inside Tiger Stadium, and one of the best of all time. It seems like the more of the football on the field for him is kind of behind. He's kind of coming to the back end of his career. He could play, 5-6 more years at a high level. But it looks like he wants to be a coach. The way that he kind of breaks stuff down on social media Saturday, he's all over games, and he's kind of out in the public talking about what things should have happened for teams to win and what didn't happen because teams lost. Can you give people an idea of just how smart of a football player he is? And I don't know if if he wants to be a coach post-football career.
Yeah, we talk about it.
But if he is, how good of a coach could he be?
So two things about him. This is what makes him so special. By far, the most instinctive football player I've ever witnessed. Mm-hmm. He just does things that are unexplainable, that you don't even coach. He would be supposed to be in one area of the field. It was like, Ty, get over. Pick, go. and I would ask him, what made you do that? Why'd you fishtail to the deep 1/3? You should have been in the middle. I just felt it. Yeah. I just felt it, Coach. And all right, I guess so.
Yeah,
and
right.
So he would do those type of things, and so he had an instinctive piece to him. And then he was a steward of the game, just had a tremendous thirst for knowledge, wanted to know more, was a film junkie, wanted to improve himself, studied relentlessly in the film room. And you mix that with the talent that he has, and you have the National Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. So where size and none of that matters. All those other attributes that you sometimes miss on or don't see. They come to bear themselves. A couple of years ago, Lane and I were talking about Kiffin, and when I was at Tennessee and we started the recruitment of him, he and Coach O, to be honest with you, he was in this conversation, and I'm telling him about Tyrann, and it's like, I don't know, he's not big. He was 5'8.5", 148 at our camp, right? Wow. Going into his senior year, it's like he's too small. He's not a prototype. I said, y'all crazy? I was the receiver coach at Tennessee, right? And I go, every receiver we've offered, he just totally shut him down. Every receiver. The only guy that caught a ball is the young guy from Louisiana, from Lutcher. He's the only one,
Jarvis.
Right.
I'm sure they went back and forth,
great.
dude.
That's so good.
Right. And so, it was a camp that had everybody from Trey Turner to Munchie Lego to You name it. We had like 3 buses. That's a whole nother. We'll talk about that recruiting story of my vans and buses that came to Tennessee, right? And then my talk with Les after that at the game when Bell Chase played Letcher. But we'll do that later, Jordy. Yeah. You'll love that story.
I love it. I
already
love
it. And so we're sitting there, and so anyway, we finally make a move on him, and Lane asked me several. He's like, "How did you know? Like, how did you know that about that kid?" And I said, "Coach, if we could cut him open, I wish you could see what was inside of him. Mm-hmm. There's no heart that's bigger. There's nobody more passionate about the game than him. He plays it like his life depends on it, and his personality shows in his style of play." And I was trying to be descriptive to say what measurables couldn't say. Yeah. That what Tyron was made of. But I'm gonna jump off. I don't want to be long on your show and mess everything up here. But he said to we talk, and he'll say we'll have ball talks, and I say to him, "I got a job for you, all right? I don't know if I could afford you, but I'd love you to coach the secondary." And he texts me back, "Me or Coop?" That's my friend Coop. I say Ty all day, baby. Oh, so, man, I think he does want to. I think he does want to coach one day.
He had Lamar Jackson seeing Ghost on Sunday night. I mean, Lamar Jackson didn't know where he was coming from. He nearly had 3 picks in the first half on his first game back.
Wow.
You are the best, man. It is great to hear from you. Go kick ass this weekend. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Thank you, man. Go Pokes.
Yes, sir. There he is. Frank Wilson checking in from Lake Charles this morning as he and the Pokes will be taking on Incarnate Word. I have heard him tell that story about Tyrann Mathieu from the recruiting camp at Tennessee.
I've never been teased like that in my life.
Odell was there. Jarvis was there. That whole crew was there. And every time those cats would get to the front of the line, Tyrann would push his way to the front and go guard them. And like the story goes, like Lane Kiffin was like, "Who is this kid? Like, who is the 5'8", 150-pounder that's always going? Like, who is this kid?" And Frank Wilson was like, "I'm telling you, we got to offer him. We got to offer him." We will get some recruiting stories from Wilson.
That was
from Frank Wilson.
I love that guy.
3 buses.
Oh, he's so good.
3 bus loads coming up to Knoxville from New Orleans.
Well, that's not shocking because did you hear his roster, what it's constructed of at McNeese?
Yeah.
Like, it's like John Arrett.
Are you reading Meat Market?
Yes.
Do you see what his philosophy is?
It's unbelievable. Like, I want to get him back at LSU.
If you could, if you're looking for a great book to read, and it's dated now. I mean, this is like T-Bob's recruitment, like 2008 is what Meat Market is covering. It's Ed Ogeron's first year at Ole Miss, and Frank Wilson is the recruiting coordinator. And Frank Wilson's pretty much the primary character of the book because it's talking about recruiting. I know that it's about Ed Ogeron's Ole Miss program, but they're really talking about recruiting. I mean, that the whole thing is kind of built around recruiting. And Bruce Feldman is the author, and it's fantastic insight. He's buried within the Ole Miss football program. I mean, he's got just carte blanche access. I mean, he's pretty much on staff.
Was it written while Coach O in his tenure at Ole Miss or after he left? While he was there?
No, it was written while he was there. It was written in season and published the year after. And Frank Wilson is and he's young at that time. Like, he's like, I want to say he's like 30 years old, man. I mean, he is like a baby in the trade. And just, I'm telling you, Joe McKnight USC obviously cheated to get Joe McKnight. I mean, just read the book. Joe McKnight's crying, telling Frank Wilson, he's like, I got to go to USC. I have to go here, because he had obviously taken something and signed something.
He got the Reggie deal.
Yeah, he just got he was the #1 recruit in the country. He should have gotten money.
Wait, so Frank was at Ole Miss with Coach O, and then he went to USC with Coach O.
That whole crew really stayed together.
They all went from Ole Miss to USC.
No, they were fired at Ole Miss. Ogeron was fired at Ole Miss, and Lane Kiffin got the head coaching job at Tennessee. And Lane hired pretty much, not all of them, but he hired Ed and he hired Frank on his staff, and I think a few more. His brother, Chris Kiffin, was on that staff, who was a dominant recruiter.
Where's he now?
I don't know where he is. He was with Hugh Freeze at Ole Miss for a while.
Okay.
He was Freeze's lead recruiter at Ole Miss, and I think he was retained by Matt Luke.
I didn't know that.
He looks like him. I've never.
Oh,
I didn't know he had a brother.
He's kind of a fatter edition.
That's what I was going to say. Well, Lane was getting here.
Yeah, he was.
And then he
good on Lane, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, Lane's like
Lost
pulling off
35
the
pounds.
dry fit T-shirts on game days now.
Yeah, he was
which
wearing
for
them,
a chubby guy is not. That is not good. It's not good on the eyeballs.
That man had 2 necks coming out, and he saw himself. He's like, "Oh, I keep seeing this picture they're pulling up on interviews. I got to do something."
I mean,
I'm fat.
Wait. Well, so
he was
what
puffing
happened
up
after Tennessee?
So then they take the USC job in the middle
All
of the
of them.
night. All of them. And he takes that entire staff to USC.
Okay.
And they build a really good roster. They just can't win on the field. But then Frank Wilson was hired by Les.
Okay. Got it.
Well, even the funniest thing about USC is Lane Kiffin gets that job after he replaced Coach O at another head coaching job. Then Coach O replaces Lane Kiffin again at USC, and they're just revolving doors, ships in the night, always passing each other.
And O was trying to hire Lane
at
as his
LSU.
offensive coordinator when he got to
That's
LSU.
so weird.
And that's why Lane's always trolling him on the old
and
Twitter
many
machine.
believe if O is moved on, that Lane could replace him at LSU.
Could you-
That's really weird.
It is kind of crazy to think about
It
how
is.
But
that
they've
has
been
just
around each other.
crossed over
Yeah.
their entire career.
I didn't even know any of that.
like
Blaine,
Lane-
Blaine's so excited right now.
Lane
that I didn't know
Kiffin's
that.
Lane Kiffin's dad, Monty, was the defensive coordinator, which Monty was just put into the Ring of Fame, Hall of Fame with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He
Oh,
was
wow.
he invented
Tampa 2.
the Tampa 2 defense. So I mean, like, he is one of those kind of revolutionary football guys.
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of like a creator within the trade.
Yeah.
I mean, Lane was he was dragging Monty around when he was 80 years old. He's like, "Come coach the defense. Like, I need some help here."
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like he was
Yeah.
but like, I don't know how people realize he was that old. He was 75 years old up in the booth still. Because Lane was like, I guess I'll call my dad.
Well, I mean, he brought him back around last week, and he was dancing in the middle of the Ole Miss breakdown. Like, I mean, they had
He has an electric
they
personality.
had music. I mean, you see where Lane gets it from.
Yeah.
I mean, but yes, I mean, all of those stories. If you have not read Meat Market, I'm
I've
telling
not.
you should read it.
Shocker.
I took it off his mantle.
You should read
You
it.
did?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Give it to her next, because I'm telling you, it's a fantastic read on just you learn how recruiting works.
Yeah.
Now
I'd
it's
love to read that.
now it's pre-NIL recruiting, which
Sure.
I'd imagine things that are. I'd like to read the book now on how NIL has changed, because now a guy like Joe McKnight, who's the key figure in that book, God rest his soul. You could just go up to Joe McKnight and say, "Look, man, I got a booster who's going to pay you $500,000 a year to endorse his company. All you got to do is wear a hat after a game once a week and post it on your Instagram story, and come to USC, come to Tennessee, come to LSU, come to wherever the school is." I mean, that's really how they're going to recruit. That's why, to me, Texas is in the lead for Arch Manning, because Texas is telling Arch, they just have one booster that's saying, "Hey, you're Arch's guy. Whatever Arch needs, give it to him." And if Arch wants $1 million a year to come to Texas, well, then make it happen. And that guy gets his rocks off by Steve Sarkisian saying, "Hey, we need help. Can you help us?" And that guy, when money is no object to those people, and they get the clearance and the acceptance from the head coach of, "Hey, man, you're on our inner circle because you're paying Arch $1 million a year for him to come to school here," they'll cut that check 10 times over.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like $1 million?
Yeah,
You gotta take cash?
right? Exactly.
You know what I mean? Here's a
Exactly.
briefcase.
Exactly.
Daily, we're brought to you by R&B Builders here.
Oh, the orange down it.
yes.
That's basically the middle finger, Katie. Watch out.
I know.
But
y'all
Saban's
getting
working
close.
behind the scenes for Arch.
That's what I was going to say. It looks like
It's I'm telling you, it's a Bama, Texas
That's it.
run here.
Yeah.
He was just at Georgia.
Bama, bleh.
I know, but just the pictures of him, he already looks worn out. Like, he looks exhausted. Every time I see a picture of Arch Manning, he's like,
Right.
"This is so much. I'm just trying to play." He's, 16, 17 years old? And he's like, "Why am I on ESPN all of the time?" Like, they cut to him probably 15 times during the game, and he's just like,
Oof.
I'm just trying to win a couple games for Newman, get into
Right.
college
man.
here. But he looks haggard.
RMB Builders brings you the Jordy Culotta Show. RMB-builders.com. Let them custom make you a home today. Let them remodel a house for you. If you need any handiwork done around the home, they can help you out over at RMB. Rhett Bourgeois is our guy. Get in touch with him over there. RMB rmb-builders.com. rmb-builders.com. That's Rhett Bourgeois and his crew. They're commercially licensed, so if you need some work around a commercial construction project, get in touch with Rhett Bourgeois. He can help you with any size project. I'm telling you, if you just need handiwork done around the house, give him a call. rmb-builders.com. All right, here at the top of the hour, we're going to talk to Jeff Duncan, New Orleans Saints. We'll get his ideas on or get his thoughts on where the Saints are after 2 weeks into the season. Obviously, all the adversity that they dealt with last week. How is the health of the program going into Foxborough this weekend, and what his expectations are here going into week 3. Give us a minute to reset. We'll be back here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
I think we just started a book club.
Oh, my God. That's such a good idea. It is a good idea. It really is.
Papa Earl's, the fine spice, originating right down here in South Louisiana by our guy Mark Pop Norman. Developed it back in 2018 and won Amazon's Newcomer of the Year in 2019. They pride themselves in having 30% less salt and sodium than the leading brands at the same price point. You can find them locally. Look for Papa Earl's at Rouse's, Calandro's, Mathern's, High Neighbor, and more. True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU, bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU, bluewater.com. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. One of my favorites from New Orleans is Jeff Duncan. He loves the city. He's a Louisville native, but he has immersed himself in South Louisiana and New Orleans in particular. He's got great reads at NOLA.com. He's authored great books. You can find all of them over on his Twitter site at JeffDuncan_. Was heading to the city last night, Jeffrey, and was going to see the Counting Crows concert at the Sanger, which we were really looking forward to, but got caught up in that traffic jam on the Bon Carré after the 18-wheeler exploded 4 hours later after being diverted through Laplace, which had no power, so they had no lights in Laplace. It was a devastating night, but I was not in that 18-wheeler, so we've got to keep some perspective here. How are you doing? Good morning, sir.
I'm doing good, Jordy. I'm sorry to hear that. I can only imagine what your night was like.
But how about you? Things in the city, getting moving. I always like to talk to you about what's going on in the city. You and I share some of the same interest in music and like to get out and experience it. How has things been here with the city and restrictions and trying to get back out into some sense of normalcy?
Well, look, I think the trash issue is obviously front and center, and it sounds like the mayor and city officials are finally getting on that. Let's hope they get to it sooner rather than later. Other than that, I think we've done pretty darn well with the recovery. The power issue was obviously major for myself. I hate to say it, but I feel very fortunate. I've got back after about a week being evacuated and had power. I had trash pickup. I had internet. I was just one of the fortunate few. But look, we still got a long way to go. There's a ton of debris to be removed. I mean, you can't drive down a single street anywhere in the city and not see piles of debris. And I know you can relate to that down there. And it's just it's going to be a long haul. Slowly things are coming back. Everyday life. I live near Audubon Park, right across from Tulane. It's now open again, so I can go on my nightly run without finding a new route. Restaurants are coming back. I've been out to a couple recently, so we're getting there, but it's a slog.
City has to be very proud in the way that Tulane has represented them the past couple of weeks, and without the fandom behind it, just the way and the adversity that Willie Fritz's program has dealt with, preparing in Birmingham, competing in Norman, Oklahoma, in a game that should have been played at Ullman Stadium, to just the way that they have represented our state and the city of New Orleans over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jordy. And I think I use this term a lot with the Saints, but I think it certainly applies to Tulane. I mean, they've become expert crisis managers. I mean, we all do in some ways in South Louisiana. We're so accustomed to having to deal with these extraordinary circumstances, and unfortunately they're becoming more and more regular in our lives. I mean, these things seem to come up, and I've talked to Troy Dannon about their plan. I mean, they all have working disaster plans now that they have to employ and activate, and the way Tulane handled it and just the class, and I think that starts at the top. It comes from the president and also from athletic director Troy Dannon, and of course Willie Fritz, who's such a great face of the franchise, if you will, the way he conducts himself and carries himself. And I think that trickles down to his players, and we see some of the response that they're getting now across the country. I think it's been I'm sure it's difficult for Tulane, but I also think it's really improved their image nationwide with how they've handled this crisis.
Jeff Duncan is a columnist over at the Times-Picayune, NOLA.com. He's also an analyst on Fox 8 WVUE-TV down in New Orleans. He has authored great books, including Peyton and Breeze, The Men Who Built the Greatest Offense in NFL History. It is a fantastic read if you have not picked it up yet. Check that out on his Twitter account at JeffDuncan_. An idea of what Sean Payton was doing last week, I thought Moose Johnston said it best on the broadcast. It felt like high school when Moose went and watched them working out and practicing last Wednesday in Dallas. Payton was coaching the tight ends, the receivers, the running backs. He was nearly making the Gatorade before the game, and it felt like he was doing everything. The challenges that the Saints had, I'm not trying to make an excuse, but I thought being down 7 coaches was more critical than not even having like guys like Lattimore and Gardner Johnson and Quan Alexander. I know those guys are big misses, but not having your coaches on the sidelines during the game, I thought was crucial.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, I don't know if any NFL staff has ever had to undergo that kind of challenge or face that kind of challenge. And it just felt like it all added up, Jordy, didn't it? I mean, you just kind of watched that game, and it didn't seem like the Saints team we saw a week early, nothing even close to it. And the game plan wasn't there, and I'm sure that was affected by not having everybody there under one roof. Now, the coaches were involved via Zoom in all these meetings, so they could apply their mental acumen, but there's something to be said about not having them at practice, not having them on the sidelines for the game. I mean, Sean had to bring in his personal assistant, coaching assistant, Kevin Petrie, to basically be an assistant coach, and then he used Ian Book to handle some of the game day responsibilities for substitutions, who's a player. So his comment about being like Ted Lasso I thought was appropriate. Yeah. And it just kind of all added up for the Saints. I mean, they look to me very similar, and I referenced this on my Fox 8 commentary last night. Watching Tulane, you're out there, and everybody in South Louisiana, I think, can identify with this. You don't understand it in the moment, but eventually this toll mentally and physically catches up to you of just being displaced and not sleeping in your own bed and worrying about things. There's a mental toll, and I think it caught up to Tulane, and I think it caught up to the Saints in this game. And the sooner they can get back to a normal routine and reality, I think is going to be better, because they look like a tired, distracted team.
Any expectation on that?
Well, yeah, they're definitely going to come back after this Patriots game. They're going to fly from Dallas on Friday to New England, play the game, and then fly back to New Orleans. So they'll be back here late Sunday night, early Monday morning.
That is good news. Jameis Winston, week 1 to week 2. I agree with your take on the Saints look tired. He looked tired as well. What do you make of his play through the first couple of weeks and going into Foxborough?
Well, I think it was kind of a reality check for everyone. Mm-hmm. Jameis Winston, Sean Payton, all the fans, that this transition is not going to be as easy as it looked in that Green Bay game.
Right.
Carolina threw a lot at that new group there, and I think what we saw was the transition between a new center. We had Cesar Ruiz at center there. You have Jameis Winston in his second game as a starter in Sean Payton's offense. And credit Phil Snow and the defensive staff of the Panthers. They tested them, and they threw a ton of different pressure packages at them and understood how the Saints like to identify pre-snap things at the line of scrimmage, and it was a debacle. There's just no other way to put it. I mean, it was a complete failure for a football team, from Jameis Winston, who's got some of those responsibilities in identifying those things, communicating it to the rest of the offense. Cesar Ruiz also has to do that. And some of the backs as well. The protection packages aren't all just the offensive line, but I've never seen such a failure in the Sean Payton tenure. I mean, there were players coming free right and left, and Winston really had no chance to manage or function in this offense. And they got to get it fixed. I mean, of all teams to be playing, you're playing the New England Patriots and maybe the greatest defensive coach in NFL history, who's going to see all this on tape this week. Rest assured, they're going to see more of it on Sunday.
You mentioned kind of the Saints being unable to pick up blitz and protections, and then we have Drew Brees saying he's in constant contact with not only Jameis but Taysom and Sean Payton. What's the chances this man slides on the coaching staff within the next couple of years, or does NBC have to lock him up immediately?
Yeah, I don't see that, Jordy. I don't think Drew has those hours in him anymore. One of the reasons he retired was just to get away from spend more time with his family, to be able to see his kids grow. He wants to be a little league dad, if you will.
Ball in high school.
Yeah, soccer mom. He wants to be involved in all that. And coaching hours, especially on Sean Payton's staff, don't allow for much of that.
Speaking of Sean Payton's staff, I have a theory, and tell me if you buy in. I think that you'll get Joe Brady's best punch every time Sean Payton is on the opposite sideline, just because of what Payton has meant to Brady. And then throughout that 2019 season, when Payton was asked about Brady's success at LSU, it was kind of like he was patting him on the head, kind of like it was a little brother or a young one in the program that he was mentoring, that he wasn't ready to let go fly yet on his own. I thought Brady was as motivated and will always throw his fiercest punch at Sean Payton, just to kind of prove to him that, because to me, Jeff, they're the same people. I think that Joe Brady is a 33-year-old edition of Sean Payton.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And look, they'll probably always say the right things publicly. Right. They're always going to compliment each other. But deep down inside, when they're game planning, trust me, they're thinking about that guy opposite them. And it's always going to be motivating for each of them. And certainly for Joe Brady. And look, I interviewed Joe a couple times for my Peyton and Breeze book, and he was fantastic. He knows that Saints offense like the back of his hand, and I was blown away with just how well he knew it at such a young age, because it's such a complicated, sophisticated offense. And I think that's what identified him early on to the Saints coaching staff and to Drew Brees. I can still remember, Jordy, like being involved in these group interviews with Drew Brees, and I've interviewed him so many times, and all of a sudden this Joe Brady name would be dropped, just unsolicited, and I'm like, who's this Joe Brady? That doesn't happen by mistake. He had already made an impression on Drew Brees at an early age and an early time in the organization, and that says a lot that he caught his attention, and now we see where it took him.
Yeah, T-Bob and I had an opportunity to meet Joe early on in him getting the job at LSU, and within an hour-and-a-half lunch, the emphasis that he put on what he learned from Sean Payton in New Orleans without even really saying it, like you're saying, the Breeze conversation, just it would kind of pop up, and like T-Bob and I left and were like, man, Sean Payton had a huge influence on this guy, and you can tell he wants to impress him a little bit. There's a little bit of a younger brother type of relationship there. Jeff Duncan joining us from NOLA.com, Times-Picayune. He's on Twitter at Jeff Duncan _ here. Last one, Jeff, we'll get you out of here. Thank you as always for your time. Defensively, Dennis Allen, he feels like a head coach leading that unit over there, and they feel like that they are in as good of a spot as they've been under Sean Payton. What are your expectations for that side of the ball?
Well, they got to get some of the dudes back, right? I mean,
sure.
They're missing some guys that are key players. Losing C.J. Gardner-Johnson last week was devastating. I mean, he's their Christian McCaffrey one-on-one guy, and that guy gets exposed. They got to get Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, you're missing your best pass rusher in Marcus Davenport, your shutdown corner in Marshawn Lattimore, and your jack of all trades, your hybrid athlete in C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You just can't overcome that to some degree. When they start getting those guys back and they get David Onyemata, who I know Saints fans know about him, but I don't think they understand. He's their best defensive lineman by far. He's a Pro Bowl caliber player and probably going to make it this year if he gets on the field. Those guys are going to take this defense, I think, to the next level. I haven't seen a defense this good since I've covered the team from front to back. I mean, all three levels with Demario Davis and Quan Alexander at linebacker. They showed what they can be, that potential against the Packers. We saw the Packers run up and down the field last night. They couldn't hardly gain a first down against the Saints defense when they're full staff. And I think that's going to be the strength of this team. I really believe they're going to try and run the ball. They're going to lean on that defense, and they're going to win games in their 20s. The days of them scoring 40-something and blowing people out with this limited receiving core, it just is not going to happen. And I think that defense will carry this team this year, and I think it can carry them a long way.
Last one. Do you know Mike Thomas' timetable?
Well, I mean, he's kind of just by rule, he's out until at least 6 weeks now because of the PUP rules. So when he gets back, it'll help. Certainly. I mean, he's your ace receiver, but I still think just the limited passing attack that we saw this past week, I think it's going to be that way for a while, and I think they have to lean on the offensive line and the defense to win games this year. And look, the coaching staff, which I don't think, frankly, and I think they'll be the first to admit with their limitations this week, did not have a great game plan and got it handed to them by the Panthers coaching staff this week.
For sure. Jeff Duncan is on Twitter at Jeff Duncan _. Make sure and pick up the book if you have not already done so. Peyton and Breeze, the men who built the greatest offense in NFL history. He mentioned some of the excerpts from Joe Brady. You get incredible insight and behind-the-scenes access to that 16-year run of Peyton and Breeze. We were just debating on starting a book club here on the show. Jeff, thank you very much for the time. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me, Jordy. You guys have a great morning.
Yes, sir. There's Jeff Duncan checking in from New Orleans this morning. That would be a great one for a book club. So how does a book club work?
You pick a book, and you pick your members of your club.
Everybody reads the same book?
Everybody reads the same book.
Everybody reads the same book.
And then so often you want to, and you discuss. Like, you might set, like, hey, everybody read the first 2 chapters, and then you discuss
How did you think it worked before that answer?
I didn't. I had no idea. I thought that maybe everybody read a different book, and we show up to the club, and you just kind of talk about. I always thought it was kind of an excuse to get out of the house.
It is. It's like your fantasy football for the ladies.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, whatever.
I mean,
that's Rosary Club for my mother. I remember in high school, my God,
Rosary
every
Club.
Tuesday morning. And it was just so they could gossip on. I got in trouble every time after it happened. They're like, somebody did this. Like, I heard this. Like, don't talk to them. They don't know anything. I went at their house. And it was just every time I saw the meeting drinking wine at 9 a.m., I was like,
that's what we did.
Nothing's good's going to come from this.
Just cackling.
Hey, can we look at the print we have behind you over there and tell everybody about that?
Yes.
Can you reach it?
Yeah, I can.
The cameras can only do so much.
That?
Do you have that letter?
I see it on the floor right over there. I just noticed that. One of our listeners, everyone, Chris East, gave us this, and it was the insert from the Heisman ceremony. Yeah. I think I have that right. And his dad was able to print a couple of these and
to donate one to the show. So we very much appreciate that, Chris. We're going to find a great spot for it here at the UDL. But it is a beautiful, beautiful picture, beautiful cool print. Got Burrow from the back with the Heisman, the trophy, his signature is imprinted on there. and also sent it framed, which I thought was really cool.
And very nice of him.
Very
to
nice.
A little wooden
Very
frame
nice.
too.
I met him up in the parking lot at Trader Joe's and picked those up.
Wow.
Didn't even know who Chris was.
Yeah, we probably could have done that a little differently. A little backup might have
Didn't
helped
even
somebody.
know who he was. I was pleasantly surprised. He was very nice and normal.
Hey, Katie, can you go meet this stranger?
That's so bad on our part.
So
I
terrible.
left the kids at home. David was out of town. I'm like, I'll be right back, y'all.
Anybody
I gotta go
seen
to a parking
Mom?
lot.
That was the last text she sent.
She said she went to go pick up a Burrow poster.
As I was driving
By
there,
some
I was
random-
like, man, I probably should tell somebody where I'm going. Nobody knows.
And she didn't even text her family. She texted us. She's like,
Yeah,
if y'all don't hear from me,
Come see
I'm
that
dead.
poster's in the back of this white van.
Yeah.
Can you get in first? Thanks.
Chris was very nice.
Just follow me. Just it's right over there, back to the left.
Right. Follow me behind the shopping center.
No, take your keys. You don't need them. Yeah, leave them in the car.
You know what? Hop in my car. I'll drive you
I'll
back
drive
there.
you
The
where they
poster's
are.
right there. It'll take 2 minutes. You can actually probably just leave your car running.
The directions are
God.
confusing. Just ride with me. It'll be much easier this way.
You mind leaving my phone in your car too?
He's definitely seen the show. If that
Okay.
happened.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I'm a huge Dateline guy.
Clearly.
Love Dateline.
While we're on the subject of artwork, let's talk about this other Burrow painting behind me here.
Jamar Simeon.
The best ever, it is called. And I don't think I've told y'all this before. I mean, y'all know, but go to our website, everyone, jordyculotta.com, and there's a video that he put out about the making of the painting, and also it covers the last 20 years of LSU football from his perspective as a fan. It's really cool. He's only making 1,000 signed prints of the painting. He'll sign them and number them, and they start at $150, but you can have them framed, you can have them matted, you can get different editions. There's a buy now button on our website, and you put in the code Jordy for 10% off. Check it out.
Nice. You head over to jordyculotta.com and pick up your print today. Daily, we're brought to you by Edward Jones, my friend Daniel Newman, our friend Daniel Newman over there at Edward Jones. He's in Central Louisiana. He is our financial advisor, and he has done tremendous work for us. The return that we have seen over the last 7 months have been tremendous after rolling our 401k over to Daniel over at Edward Jones. Go find out how he can help you. I tell you all the time, if you are in the plant industry, if you work within Dow, BASF, Exxon, any of the plants down here in South Louisiana, and you have questions about your finances on how you can grow them, some investment, Social Security, 401k, whatever it may be, let Daniel Newman help you out over at Edward Jones. He's got great experience within that plant field. Every time I go into his office, I feel like there are people within that industry, personnel within that industry that are either waiting to talk to Daniel or coming out of his office. Go find out how he can help you today at daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. Daniel.newman at edwardjones.com. He's a financial advisor, our financial advisor. And let him help you out. Jimmy Magoo, car is full, but there's room in the trunk.
Get out of here, Magoo.
Yeah, right. That's a good. You're
like
mine, huh?
That's like a Middleton Library
what's your name?
third floor kind of comment.
Jimmy
right there.
Magoo. Oh, get right in.
All right, he's on the third floor of the Middleton Library.
What are we going to do for this Mississippi State game?
I don't know, y'all.
On
Look,
Saturday.
I wanna
I'm not
talk
having a
about that.
watch party. I'm
What's
not doing
wrong
the
with
four
you?
quarters. I think I can't. I can't.
You're in a bad headspace
I can't
right now.
sustain
You're
it,
still in
bro.
the traffic.
Here's the thing. Here
It's
are
too
my
long of a
thoughts
day.
on it. So,
Too long
wait,
of a
why
day.
can't you
You're going to watch the
sustain it
game anyway.
I know, but I don't want to watch it.
with me?
No, in the public. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Sometimes I don't.
What is this?
I mean, I
Do
like
you know who you are?
I like
What's
going
going on?
live for the fourth quarter.
But you don't want to do that either now, you're saying.
No, I do. I do. I don't want to go live for the whole game.
Okay, here are my thoughts on it. I'm concerned because
For the game?
Well,
You're
yes.
just
Yeah.
reading so well. Now it's like you're having a stroke. I'm concerned because.
Well, I'm concerned because I feel like this is a weird situation. Like, I mean, that game's going to be tough for me to watch, and I don't typically like to watch a game
What do
like
you mean
that.
tough to watch? Like, what do you mean? Why tough
Around
to watch?
LSU fans.
Y'all are both
like,
having the same argument with each other.
just around LSU people. I mean, I'm trying to put this as gently as possible, but my entire life,
We're bad people.
no, I just
We
always
beat your ass.
No, you didn't beat my ass last year or 2 years before that or
Oh,
4
ask-
years before
yeah,
that.
we'll ask
So
Dak about it. He's
clearly-
Three of the last 25
clearly, and
years,
we've
you
done
got your punch
we
in.
beat y'all twice within 4 years in Tiger Stadium, which most people don't do. So now I get the hate,
Is that true?
especially yes, I was there for both of them.
Wow.
I get the hate, especially from Noah. Like, I understand why
Why?
Well, he hates Mississippi State, and I never knew why, but it's his lifetime that he's seen those beatings. That's why. Yeah. Actually, I'm sorry.
Not even on my radar.
3 years ago was on Starkville. We beat y'all. The first beating in Tiger Stadium was 2014 season. And then
so the stat you just threw out twice in the last 4 years is bullshit.
Yeah, we beat you twice. No, we beat you twice in the last 4 years. Not Tiger Stadium.
Yeah,
once in Tiger Stadium, and then 2014 was the last time in Tiger Stadium. My point is,
your wins,
I
right?
feel like we might get sideways. Like, I feel like we could get sideways.
Somebody.
No.
I mean, not
I don't care that much anymore, Katie. I don't care that much about
but I'm gonna feel
the outcome of LSU football anymore.
Jordy,
like that.
No, don't
I
say
don't
that.
watch that game like that. Like, I mean, does it affect your... I mean, like, it used to affect my whole day, my week. It would put me in a bad mood. It would... I feel like I finally removed myself...
How? What,
from
2019 and you're good?
I'm good. I'm great,
no, you
actually.
Can't be like that.
Yeah,
I'm great, actually.
I've had this conversation.
And even last year, kind of numbed you to
that's another conversation.
The abyss you could be floating into.
Okay, but you can't say that it's not going to affect you and that you're like not invested in LSU football.
That's probably wrong to say out loud like that. I'm talking about from a fan standpoint.
Okay.
From like a fandom standpoint. I don't watch the game like this.
Is that going to happen to me?
But you're telling me if
bro,
we're
at some point this becomes a job. You know what I mean? Like at some point, yes, it does, man. It absolutely does. No, you still have I mean, we're talking about sports. I mean, we got to keep it in perspective. It's fun. It's awesome. You know what I mean?
Not in the 18-wheeler.
Okay, well, that point is kind of what I'm saying. For me, this is like talking about LSU all the time is a job. Like, that's not what I was like born and bred to do. That's not where I focused my energies before this, right? Everyone knows that. Like, this is everybody knows the situation here, okay? So for me, watching that game, that's going to be very passionate for me.
That's why you put it on the live stream. That's why you do it, to have this.
Okay, but what if
fourth quarter
Mississippi State is winning and we're doing this in the fourth quarter and you're pissed off and Rohan is sitting here pissed off, then what's that going to be like?
Awesome for great views. Are you kidding me?
Because at the end of it, we don't really care.
I do, though. I do, is the thing.
Like care, like
I
how,
care.
Like care, like what?
I
care
love
level.
Mississippi State
I know
football,
you do, but
and I mean it's hard being a Mississippi State
You're not
fan,
going to lay in your bed all day on Monday after LSU beats y'all on Saturday.
I'm not, but I'll be sad.
You know what I mean? Like
I'm not.
Get that ass whipped. You don't care.
I'm aware LSU could easily beat us and always have. I had a watch party at my house last year, and on the invitation I put, "Come watch the Tigers beat my dogs."
But that had to be so gratifying for you.
It was until the end when everybody got dead quiet and just filed out and left. I mean, it was the most depressing thing ever. To me, that would have been the best part. I'd have been at the door handing away gifts. It was such a
cowbell for you, cowbell for you.
Don't forget your gift bag on the way out.
I'm just saying it could get weird, is all. Like, I'm coming from
weird sells,
that's a different day for me, though.
Weird sells.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Yeah, you'll be exposed out there.
Like, I kind of even thought I might watch it by myself, like with nobody around.
That's
like,
how I used
in
to be,
a room
bro.
by myself.
That's how that was my vibe from 05 to 12, 13ish. I was a by myself, get out of the room, don't watch the game with me type guy.
See?
And I mean,
was it the national championship that did you in?
Oh, I was over after that.
And I'm talking about like that just made your heart concrete.
It was get this guy out of here. Just, I mean, it was almost pull against him. You know what I mean? It was almost you hated to see, because his success only meant longer of the punishment. Right?
Like, I mean, we string this relationship out.
I mean, this guy is just duping everybody, and talking about Les Miles. But yeah, I mean, at some point,
what are you gonna do if I sit here and ring a cowbell through the fourth quarter?
Oh, I would definitely throw you out.
Okay,
I would definitely throw you out.
Why wouldn't I be allowed to do that?
Just because that would be a headache, bro. Yeah. I mean, like, we're not trying to do that, and that's not going to sell.
But that's
we're trying
my thing.
We're in the we're in the podcast world in which we're trying to attract and intrigue people to come and watch.
Auditorially.
Your passion. Your fandom will bring them. You rattling a cowbell into a microphone for 3 hours ain't gonna work.
I don't mean the whole time.
Ain't gonna work.
I mean a couple of
One
rings.
time is too many.
No, you can't touch it.
Yes.
See, that's not fair. That I can't touch it. That's not fair for y'all to put those kind of like
restrictions on
you.
Yeah,
that's not right. So let the people decide. Do y'all want to see Jordy and I watch this game together in the fourth quarter?
I do, but no cowbell.
Yeah, I don't
Put a poll out there.
I mean, you're gonna lose.
I will have the cowbell sitting next to me then.
Cowbells at 11 a.m.
Nothing better.
Nothing
better. I mean, you can
do you really like it? Honest to God,
I love it. You can ask
it's the worst
anybody
noise
that
in the
knows
world.
me. It is my favorite sound. Even on TV, the static sound of it when you're not at the game watching it on TV, I love that. I will sit in that stadium and be like deafened by it and never flinch. I mean, I get blistered like the skin.
Are you looking for some BC powder?
The skin wears off my fingers. Like I bleed because I ring it so hard.
Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I love it. Look, y'all, that's where I went to college. If y'all had that tradition here, you'd be doing the same thing. So I know y'all hate it. You would. Yes, you would. If that was a thing here, yes, you would. Don't say no. That's dumb.
I think that tiger bait's dumb.
Okay.
Oh yeah, but that's fun. That's easy and it's done. This cowbell.
I mean, people that tiger bait me, I'm like, stop it, stop.
And it just comes out of nowhere. It's the best part.
I'm like, oh my god, bro.
It's always the drunkest guy that tells me. He's like, well, he's shit faced. Tiger bait. Like what?
Okay, no cowbells. Everyone says no cowbells.
I do. I mean, I do like that bleep hole, like that's like loud
has
and
to
you're
do
just like pointing at them, just shaming them as they walk by.
When
just
did
like
you get here?
What? What are you saying, man?
Dad, go home.
Tom wants to know why does tiger bait upset you? I guess you just
that.
Yeah, it just
it exposes you pretty quickly.
Yeah, right. I'm just not at that fandom level anymore. I guess sometimes I just watch and like wow, just all. I mean, one time my uncle at the 2020 the Ryan Paralleau game, 2007 SEC championship game, it was 80-20 Tennessee LSU. I mean, the fan base, because LSU got beat the week before against Arkansas.
Yeah, West Virginia doesn't lose to Pittsburgh.
Right. I mean, it was all Hawaii had to do some crazy. It's 07.
Okay.
Matt Flynn didn't even make the trip because he had broken his
foot.
Yeah, he broke his foot against Arkansas.
How good was Ryan Paralleau in that? I mean, to trust him like that was unbelievable.
He was so good.
He was so good.
So good.
God, he was so good. No Tennessee State.
But I saw my uncle go over a railing, like waist railing,
risking his life,
like
bent over, like grabbing by the back of the shirt, like, bro, have you lost your mind? What are you doing? I'm like in their face. I mean, like the people were like, Jesus, like, bro, have you lost your mind? What are you doing?
Oh, Daniel Newman's getting some run here. My bad.
Good for Danny.
It just happens. You just at some point, is it just the one game that made you check out, or just a cavalcade of things? Like the Les Miles year, I did it too. You're like, I'm out.
Yeah. No, I tapped out on January 9th, 2012.
You're out.
I lost my fandom for LSU. Like, it turned into a job for me.
I mean, that's specific.
It really did.
It was
the national championship game where he brought arguably
the dumbest,
a top 3 team LSU has ever had. Ever.
Was that 21-0 game?
Ever, yes. 21-0 where they didn't cross midfield the whole game. I still think the best fan troll job ever of all time was that people forget LSU football played Alabama for the national championship on January 9th, 2012. On January 11th, 2012, 2 nights later, LSU basketball with Trent Johnson as the head coach visit Tuscaloosa and Alabama to play a basketball game. LSU wins the tip and crosses midcourt and gets a standing ovation by the entire arena.
Damn.
I mean, like, that was one of the best of all time.
Talk about awareness.
It was, yes, very much. I mean, that was how bad and embarrassing that game was for a team that produced Tyrann Mathieu, Morris Claiborne, Michael Brockers,
you can keep going.
Ruben Randall. Who are the pros on that? I'm trying to think of the pros on that team. The whole entire backfield, defensive backfield, went to Ron Brooks went to the league. Thorold Simon played in the Super Bowl.
Eric
Reed. I mean, just the talent on that field, which was wasted in game plan. I mean, the people on the team will tell you that Les Miles spent a month overhauling the offense, changing the game plan up, and like 2 days before the game said they're just going back to what they did on November 9th.
Got over his head. It's like when you study for a test for too long And like I smoked weed and tried to do econ one time, and I thought I figured it out. And then I showed it to my buddy who was an econ major. He's like, this couldn't be more wrong. He's like, well, I'll just drop the class then. Never mind. Because now I'm so far into it that it's wrong. Like, I can't get out of this same hole now that I put myself in. I thought I figured it out. And that was Les Miles with the offense. Like, he probably got so far into, like, this is how I'm going to change it. Then, like, looked back from like a bigger viewer, gave it to somebody else like, you can't do this either. And he's like, well, I'll just go back to what I normally do. Just quit. Ugh.
Did y'all talk about Aaron Rodgers yet?
What about
cover that? The game last night. Did y'all talk about the game last night?
He was in the car for 55 hours.
But I mean, we did talk about it a little bit because I was watching the game. I thought he wasn't checked in.
What? I felt like he was back, baby. Are you serious?
Oh, he's just kind of back and forth though.
No,
he's not all the way
I feel like
in.
he was all the way in. Aaron. I thought that was amazing. And Peyton and Eli, y'all. God.
Is that how you watch it?
I'm here for that.
Me too.
I am.
How
here
was it
for
last night? I couldn't watch it. What were some of the high points?
Everything we say, you're gonna be like, oh, I was stuck in the car last night.
I actually hate football and sports. I don't even know what you're talking about. Now I want to see the County Pros. But it's one of the few broadcasts, they're getting absolutely cucked. ESPN is by ESPN2. Like, they fudged the numbers last week because they're like, we can't have more people watching ESPN2.
Yeah.
Well, they do.
But they are.
Yeah.
Like, it's because it's all social media is talking about.
Yes.
And it's one of the few times, like, when I watch the game, I'm 100% like leaning up and listening. I'm not like on my phone or, you know, I'm so bought into
with
what
Peyton and Eli? Or?
Yeah, no, Peyton and Eli, because of their how they break it down. You have to hear everything they're saying, or it feels like you're going to miss something. And then Pat McAfee came on in the fourth quarter and absolutely took the whole thing over.
Yeah.
They were talking about punting, and he was just like, you weren't even watching the game. It was like listening to a podcast while having a game on in the background because it was over. It was like 35-17. But
it's
like
really
the whole
cool.
relationship dynamic they have with NFL players and bringing them on, it's the best thing I've ever seen.
It's genius.
It's the best way to watch football I've ever seen.
It's whiskey and wine.
It's
I mean, it's all it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what that format is.
That's how it should be.
That's where it's going. That's where
I wish someone would do it for college football.
Sports is. They will. They're going to look at the success. They're going to look at the success of that Monday night format, and they're going to put whoever it may be in that arena. Who would it be?
Well, no, I think you
college?
You do alumni from each game and put them together, kind of like this.
That'd be cool.
And then you have, like, if it's Florida and Alabama, you do Greg McElroy and Tim Tebow and put them in there, like, watching it very intently, you know, pointing out they're both quarterbacks, so they're pointing out what they're seeing. They have good personalities. Like, that's the way to do it. You match people up every game.
Yeah.
Because there's so many media outlets, like media personalities from schools. That would be fun to watch college football-wise.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Johnny Manziel, representing Texas A&M.
It might have to be a little YouTube. Can't be doing that on ESPN.
You could do it.
Frank Wilson was great this morning. I appreciate him for stopping by. Jeff Duncan was here talking about the New Orleans Saints. Give us a minute to reset. We'll be right back and close you out here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. And remember, every day we're brought to you by Falaya Real Estate. Get in touch with Falaya Real Estate online at falaya.com. Barrett Blondo is our friend over there at Falaya Real Estate. The way that they are changing the game on how it's bought and sold, you can learn online at falaya.com or download the app today inside your Google and Android stores for Falaya Real Estate. We'll be back with the Jordy Culotta Show.
Next.
Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU, bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU bluewater.com. Papa Earl's, the fine spice, originating right down here in South Louisiana by our guy Mark Pop Norman. Developed it back in 2018 and won Amazon's Newcomer of the Year in 2019. They pride themselves in having 30% less salt and sodium than the leading brands at the same price point. You can find them locally. Look for Papa Earl's at Rouse's, Calandro's, Mathern's, High Neighbor, and more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Abear's Specialty Meats, home to the finest boudin in South Louisiana. 2 spots right here in Baton Rouge and out in Prairieville. Stop in and see them in the Dutchtown Shopping Center on Highway 73 or right here in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway. Online, abearsmarkets.com, and they're all over social media. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. Abear's combines perfect seasoning with that authentic Cajun flavor. Find out for yourself. Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway and in Prairieville on Highway 73. abearsmarkets.com. Welcome back in here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. We were out in L.A. a couple of weeks back, and it was a great trip for the show, everything in and around the city. The worst part was the game, really, kind of the way the game ended. But
you don't like LSU football.
Yeah, I guess it's all good then.
It doesn't matter. Unbelievable.
But everything was fantastic. The Rose Bowl, the mountains, the sunset. Obviously, you would have liked LSU to win the game. But one thing that came out of it was a Baton Rouge native who was living out in Southern California. That is, we're going to get his story, but is a master impersonator, as he had some content that went viral down here in South Louisiana for LSU fans, as he was impersonating a lot of the talking heads that cover LSU sports. And his name is Taylor Martirano. He is out of Baton Rouge. He was actually in the transition from Bishop Sullivan to St. Michael, to give you an idea of the time period that he was in and around Baton Rouge. That's like 06 through like 2010, I believe.
Some headshots.
Great headshots, great head of hair, good Italian American that has transitioned out to LA, that has become very popular with LSU fans over the past couple of weeks. Taylor, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, bro. A little bit about your background, your story, about kind of why are you out in Southern California now after being from Baton Rouge? How'd you get there?
Yeah, man. So, I was at Bishop Sullivan, switched to St. Michael's. So that was like 04 through 08. Oh. And then I went to LSU, graduated from there. So that was 08 to 2012. So freshman year was fresh off the championship, and I got to appreciate and enjoy the Jarrett Lee pick 6 year as a freshman. So that was a lot of fun. And then I moved to LA in 2013. Actually went to UCLA for grad school for screenwriting is why I moved out here. And now I'm just trying to do the whole filmmaker, actor type thing. But there is no loyalty to the UCLA sports. So
what's that journey like for a young screenwriter in Hollywood? In fact, we had met a screenwriter who actually went to LSU on Friday night when we were out there, and he was just talking about his road, and as in everything, very competitive, but just from somebody who's living it every day. What's that journey like?
It's tough, man. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even get in. Like, UCLA has a super low acceptance rate. I think it's like 4%. So I got rejected twice and then waitlisted a third time. But after I got rejected the first time, I just moved to LA, and I was like, I'm just going to go there. And
you're not telling me no, bro. I'm getting in.
Yeah, no. But it's tough, dude. I think probably the hardest part about it is just anytime you try to ask somebody for advice. And I think I actually started in sports journalism, and I think it's kind of a similar deal where it's like trying to figure out your path. Everyone's just so different. It's not just like, go do this thing and then you're going to get in. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of just got to find a way to make yourself in demand, whatever that ends up being. There's a million different ways to do it. And everybody that does make it, if you really try to ask their advice, even they look at you kind of like, I don't know, man. It's just kind of a tough, you just keep throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall and see if you can finally get something to hit. So that's probably the most difficult part, is just there's no real guide or like blueprint to figuring it out. And
the trade has changed, right? I mean, I know that at the end of the day, you're still actors, but the platforms have changed. The way that it is paid is differently. The content is changing. I guess every day, a lot like every industry around us, but yours more in the public, of just how it evolves so rapidly.
Yeah, and it's also, it's funny because before I made this little video, I literally had been on TikTok for like 1 week. And it's funny because the reason I got on it is because you listen to people talk about it. I mean, now the people that are giant TikTok stars, they want to go, like, all of them want to be movie stars, like all of them. So these people build a giant following, like millions and millions of followers, and they're making all this money. And then they want to go make movies, and then they get to make a movie and they realize, oh, well, I'm making way more money as a TikToker than I am as a movie star.
That's right.
Which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, I remember when I was at LSU, I like my first 2 years, I was doing sports journalism. I don't know if y'all remember Tiger Rag. That was
Absolutely.
a newspaper at LSU.
Still around. The Bible of LSU sports.
Yeah. But so I remember whenever I was at LSU, there was some guy, I can't remember if he was working for CBS or what it was, but he came and was talking to us about being a journalist. And it was supposed to be this inspirational thing, like, here's the career ahead of you. And I mean, the whole thing was just covered in, like, I got to be honest, like, it doesn't, newspapers are dying. It was just the whole thing. It was like this depressing thing.
Don't do this.
About, like, yes. Yeah, it was just like, and then he would kind of catch himself and be like, but no, I mean, you can make it happen. And it was just like, man, I got to get the hell out of here.
What is it like for a Southern Louisianian living in Los Angeles? Because it's a great place, obviously. I mean, the temperature, the scenery, The obviously the just what you have the ability to do every day, the options. You can go mountain climbing, you can go bike riding, you can go surfing, you can eat well. What is it like living out there for somebody from South Louisiana?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I mean, I think the biggest thing, because I talk to a lot of people, if I have people come out here and visit me, and I used to talk to people when I lived in Louisiana still, and I would meet someone who maybe lived in LA for a little while. And because I think our ideologies are so different, I think a lot of people, they would say things like, man, I loved it out there, but just the people, I couldn't stand them, so I had to get back here. Right. But I think the biggest thing is if you come out here and you are open-minded and are looking to like grow, and like I'm not saying LA is better by any stretch because I still love going home, but if you allow yourself to say, okay, well, this is what I grew up doing, but I can learn all this different stuff and just be open to it, then it's okay if you go with the flow. But if you come out here and you're trying to just hope that it's going to be what Louisiana is, it's very different. I remember one of the big things when I first moved here, it was like everybody I would meet within 20 seconds would be like, man, are you from the South? Because they would catch me saying y'all and stuff. And then started saying you guys. And then I would go back home and my dad would say, why the hell are you guys?
Yeah, right.
You've been converted.
Frickin' Yankee.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you, man?
The first thing every time I get off the plane when I come home, you guys aren't getting too liberal out there, are you?
No, I mean, y'all.
And then,
y'all talking about, man?
Exactly. And then I'm out here, and if I bring up Louisiana, it's like, oh, you got a bunch of Trump supporters down there. It's just like that is my this is my family you're talking about. You understand?
Thanksgiving's great.
Taylor Martirano is out in Los Angeles. He introduced himself to a lot of the LSU fan base a couple of weeks back. With his impersonation video. I thought it was fantastic, bro. It was great content, obviously. Did you expect it to blow up like it did?
I mean, look, it definitely got more attention than I thought, but I did have, like, kind of a thing. I was like, dude, I mean, I had known for a while. People always told me I did a good O impression.
Yes, you did.
And we used to mess around doing that. And then I was like, man, I mean, if I post this and then, like, throw it on Tiger Rant and then, like, just see what happens. Yeah, I mean, it got more than I thought, but there was kind of a little bit of a plan. Like, this could catch on because it was like every time I ever did an O impression for somebody, they would be like, damn, that's pretty good. But I will say what surprised me is how much people enjoyed yours. Because not just you. I mean, like, if you go look, I posted on Tiger Rant. I mean, almost everybody that commented was saying that you were the funniest one.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
it's the laptop.
Everybody, like, when we saw it the first time, everybody was like looking around. I was like, dude, that is you. You know what I mean? I thought the Moscona at the end, where he's got the headphones around his neck, and then he finishes the take, and he's like, the show today is brought to you by Ichiban. That is classic.
Bro, I mean, what happened was in 2019, my brothers and I became obsessed with whiskey and wine. I mean, I couldn't get enough LSU content that year, obviously. And, I mean, the amount of things that we quote from that show, I mean, like the Michael Terry rant, obviously.
Yes.
But then, I mean, every single time we're drinking, we all start going, cheers, 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 you know, acting like Moscona or whatever. Right. And then somebody will say, like, Brandon Atchison, good morning. You know, like doing scone and whenever he's doing morning scone. But, like, I think that the ad reads are actually probably my favorite thing whenever he starts talking about Ichiban or, like, I don't know.
Right.
It's just
the Moscona
Hudco Roofing.
Like, share.
All right, that's enough money for Moscona, damn it.
Can we play the video so everyone can see what we're talking about?
What's that?
Can we play the video?
Yes, let's play the video. Taylor, this will be a little bit of dead time for you, but we're going to play the video for our audience, right. Everybody that's hopefully everybody's heard it in our audience, but if you have not, here it is. And real quick, Taylor is all over social media. Make sure you find him today before we get out of here. He's on Instagram, as you heard him, he's on TikTok. You can follow him and find him at his name. It's Taylor Martirano, and it is Martorana, Paisan. Good Italian American. Get a vowel at the end of that last name. All right, here's the video from a couple of weeks back.
In the hindsight video, sissy blue shirt commented, well, don't look good.
Dude, how the fuck did you just lose to UCLA?
If I was Woodward, I'd leave his ass on the tarmac in LA.
All the people that are saying we should fire Ed Orgeron after week one have honestly probably never played football in their whole life.
I'm calling Lane Kiffin. I'm calling Michael Leach. I'm calling Chip Kelly. I'm not even calling Nick Saban.
I mean, my whole year is basically ruined. Do you have any idea how much money I made last year? $63,000. You think I got time to get emotionally invested in a game of kids running around in costumes, chasing each other, playing grab ass?
All I got problems fixed. Then we're going to get back to work on that this week. Right now, we're focused on beating McNeese.
That's great.
Excuse me. Hey, guys!
So, I told you guys from the beginning, when you hire Ed Ogeron, you're going to get Ed Ogeron.
Go home, have a ham sandwich, maybe some gumbo, fried okra.
Fucking Saints better be good. Hey, John Emmer didn't drop any passes. We're going to beat the shit out of McNeese. Les Miles isn't our coach anymore.
People love to hate on his mouth, but I never saw his team push around like that.
And after every coach hey, snap the ball.
How long before Stingley opts out, huh?
The Ed Ogeron era is over.
I think I've got an opportunity to get better this week. Tell the truth on Monday.
Ole Miss, he was unsuccessful. USC, he was okay. LSU, greatest football season of all time. And now look where we are. An absolute dumpster fire. It makes me sick. Y'all have pissed off coming into work this morning.
People don't give a shit. Why should I give a shit? Now it's all about your brand and how long your hair can come out back of the helmet. How many wristbands you can wear.
This is Gentleman Jack, by the way. Neat. When my dad paid for my tuition, he was expecting a lot better product than that. I'll tell you that right now. Do you understand how many 4 stars we have?
The thing is, our players didn't play well. Neither of our coordinators coach very well. But that's not an excuse. Falls on me. No one else. I take full responsibility, even if it wasn't my fault.
UCLA didn't even have that hot co-ed. First time in LA, and that's the bullshit I gotta deal with.
Getting pictures taken with co-eds, journalists, getting into a fight with the fan. I'm sitting here saying, can someone get this guy a clue?
It's not the way we want to start the season, but we're here now. We're going to fight our way out of it. We ain't backing down. Good times.
God, I needed a beat up. Unfortunately, it appears LSU is in for another long season. More on that after the break.
Today's show is brought to you by Ichiban.
Taylor Margarano is checking in from Los Angeles this morning. That was the video that went viral with LSU fans. It was fantastic content. All right, Moscone is a giveaway. I seem to be a giveaway.
Yes.
Dead to rights.
I've got Hester with the hoodie on.
Yeah.
Is that
So here's what I'll say. That's easily the weakest one of the bunch, and it was supposed to be T-Bob, but here's the deal. All right, I'm doing part 2 today, and I promise you my T-Bob is going to be much stronger, and it's going to be a lot easier for everyone to recognize.
Okay, because I had T-Bob as the wife beater, firing up the joint.
That's the student. Is that
that's the student.
That's
Okay.
the student.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy with the glass and the guy with the tank aren't really anybody. It was just like frat
Fans,
bro,
yeah.
guy living in downtown Baton Rouge.
It's the Tiger Rant conversation.
Yes.
So part two.
A lot of people had the whiskey guy as alter ego Moscona, which was fantastic.
I gotta make sure. Yeah, I gotta put like a bunch of whiskey bottles behind me as Moscona this time.
Eat some sushi.
I will say, Jordy, the hardest part about doing you is I gotta get better at doing like your regular voice. Because right now it's like I can only do you if I'm yelling and I'm angry. So it's gonna be hard to do you after a win.
But he yells a lot, so you're good.
Only in the temper tantrums am I good to impersonate. Bro, you're very talented. You are hilarious, and I appreciate what you do. You have got an open invite to this show, and anytime you want to collaborate and put out content, let's talk about that behind the scenes, because it's always good to link up with a South Louisiana native and fellow Paisan. Enjoy it out there in Los Angeles. Keep up the great work, Taylor.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me. I'll post part 2 today, so be on the lookout.
Wait, it's posted today?
No, he's going to post it.
Awesome.
He's going to post it. Yes.
Can't
Let us know. We'll retweet it and resurface it all over social media. Thank you, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one.
See you, man. There is Taylor Martirano checking in.
I mean, it's just as funny every time.
It is.
I mean, you are spot on. I mean, honestly, he has got you.
I mean, when Kelly and I watched it for the first time, I was like, is he? She was like, yeah, you dumbass.
Is that me?
Who do you think it is? I was like, I mean, that kind of taking a shot, huh?
Am I pissed? Should be mad?
No, it's
no, it's awesome. It was awesome. It was
so
great.
good.
It was great.
What a personality.
That was fantastic. He's funny, man. I appreciate him stopping by. Good job, Katie, setting that up.
Thanks.
Katie Allgood put that together for you.
It's crazy how much content he's consuming from Southern California, like to take in Moscona, obviously this show, like he's eating it all up, which is wild. That the show's the reach.
I can't tell you how many. The most interaction that I get personally doing this show is from people outside of the living area. In fact, I got a very kind letter from Mark Cassio, the former head coach at Catholic High School, who is now an assistant coach at Appalachian State, and actually peeled it out of my mailbox this morning, pulling up, and it was very cool to read, of Mark just talking about the lifeline that this show is for South Louisiana natives on getting their sports news from a local talking head, just from somebody that is embedded in the scene and is giving opinion and having people on to talk about it. And it was a very kind letter. I appreciate Coach Cassio for supporting our show out there in North Carolina now, as it looks like he is living in a beautiful city, but he still wants to be around. That's right. Kristen Cassio is doing great work for us in some other areas as well for our show, who is that relationship obviously started here when they were in Baton Rouge and now continues to carry on now that they're up. Is that Asheville?
No, they're in
they're at Appalachian State.
Charlotte, right?
Is that Charlotte? Is it Charlotte? I saw some pictures of his brother,
Charlotte.
Mark's brother, Michael Cassio, and his wife Stephanie went up and visited the Cassios, and were putting some pictures out. Just some of the pictures that they were living in was fantastic. So thank you to everybody who is out there, whether you're in Baton Rouge, whether you're in the same office complex as the UDL, or if you're in Southern California or in North Carolina. We appreciate you being there. We absolutely love what we do every day, and we appreciate you coming along and riding with us for some days 2 hours, some days 3 hours, some days an hour and a half, some days an hour.
Some days no days.
Yeah, some days you might not be here. But for the majority, we have. And to everybody down in Laplace, I was thinking as I was stuck there last night, nothing's open. There's no gasoline. There's no power. You forget. We're just 45 minutes away from absolute devastation. And really, when you think about Walker and Gonzales and Ascension Parish and some of that's 10 minutes, 15 minutes from where we are. So it's good to keep perspective on what our people, the South Louisiana people, are going through and still dealing with. And it's good to peel away and get a laugh sometimes from a guy like Taylor Martirano, who understands it and from Louisiana and just wants a little bit of home by keeping up with post-game shows and LSU football and what we have going on here. So it's a cool bridge that we have every morning to kind of pull everybody together and bring them to one common spot, get their news, and then get them out of here and go enjoy the day. Boone, North Carolina. Boone, North Carolina. Appreciate that, Garrett McGee. And thank you all for out there for supporting, as always, like you do. Like, share, comment, dislike the show if you want to. Thumbs down. You can thumbs down it. It's all good.
I don't have any thumbs
it's all
down
about
today.
the algorithm. We
But it's just interaction, man, and we appreciate that. And it does. We don't take it for granted. I know that everybody has options when you wake up every day, right? You don't have to open up your YouTube app or go to JordyCulottaShow.com or look us up on Facebook, or even throughout the day come back to us and listen. And we appreciate you being there. Our sponsors appreciate the interaction and you supporting them.
Are you dying?
What's that?
You're dying. I feel like something's happening here.
No, man.
Starting to get a little emotional.
I sat in traffic for 4 hours last night. I did a lot of thinking.
It really made you think about life.
I did a lot of thinking. Really. I answered a lot of emails.
I fucking vacuumed in here.
I saw a lot of stuff. Can I just get
one? We need to give to Taylor.
One common. I just asked for one thing around here, man. That's it.
To vacuum.
You know what I mean?
Someone to vacuum.
Can somebody run a vacuum across the place before you cut out? Yeah, boss, we got it. Yeah, sure, man, we got it. Yeah, a lot of yes sirs, a lot of yeah. Come back to cigar ash still sitting on the friggin' ground, bro.
Oh, you want to have a party, but don't want to have to clean it up.
Hell no.
That's my job.
Right, Katie, what's going on?
Get the vacuum
Why haven't they vacuumed? No, you don't have to get the vacuum out, but make sure Noah does.
We do need Noah back.
Thanks for everybody for being out there. Enjoy your. I got too sentimental. Sorry about that. Why? Dry your tears, you bastards.
I'm going back to New Orleans.
That's right.
Counting Crows.
Where's Counting Crows at tonight? Dallas.
Crows.
I'm hopping a plane.
I didn't even know they were still like a band together.
I know. Isn't that so sad, man? I mean, like that they're not that they're still a band. I mean, that's our era.
Know. Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? I was going down there to.
About this.
I mean, I was really looking for Anna Begins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is my favorite one. That whole album to me. Is it that album titled Mr. Jones? It's the album that Mr. Jones is on, but I think that's the
title.
That's the commercial song that they play, and I'm over that one, but the entire album you can put it on number 1 and let it play. I mean, Omaha is a great song. Colorblind is a great song. Anna Begins is a great song.
Yeah. I was gonna make fun of you for a minute, but now I'm like nostalgic about it. Those are good songs.
That's off that one album, but then even the other album with the green and red album cover, is a good one as well.
Kids today don't even know what album covers are, or what they look
CDs, bro.
I know.
CDs.
Remember the big books, and you just slid all your CDs in the pages of it, and you had to just flip through the pages.
Do
of
I
the
remember
book.
them?
I remember
that.
At spring break, I'm DJing and have the book on your lap, just flipping through.
It and start flipping
and it's
through.
So stressful when the song is within a minute because I don't know my next selection.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because that's that's when you get into the burning CDs era when you're like, I put up
Napster.
the best CD of Napster, oh my God, LimeWire. When you put together. Yeah, it's like this CD is the perfect driving CD.
Yes.
Like no skips, and you're putting your life on the line with that thing. You get booed out the car.
For sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You're taking a risk.
Think about it on the beach.
Oh,
I mean, you could get beer can to the face. You know what I mean?
Playing Darius Rucker.
Next song.
Or somebody kicks sand into the CD player. On
August
the beach.
and Everything After was the name of the Counting Crows CD that I was the album that I was thinking of. That was their first one. Round Here is a great one. Omaha is a great one. Obviously, Mr. Jones is what it's really known for. That was the radio play. Anna Begins to me is my favorite Counting Crows song. It's a great song. Recovering the Satellites in 1996 is another one that I was thinking about. That is a fantastic album. Have You Seen Me Lately is a good one. A Long December. A Long December is a great
Jordy?
one.
God, I'm sad you missed that.
Me too.
Me too. I didn't know you liked it this much.
I was looking, like Kelly was like, I don't even know 2 songs that the Counting Crows sing. I was like,
I was about to say, does she? Did she even know who they were?
She knew like kind of a fringe. You know what I mean?
You know it when you hear it.
You know it when you hear it. You know it when you hear it.
They'll be in Jacksonville 2 days from now. So if you want to hop on that flight.
There you go. Get down to Jacksonville.
Who you Jags got this weekend?
I know.
Make a weekend out of it.
Be a good trip.
September 23rd, go to Daly's Place, Jacksonville, Florida. You can get tickets now on countingcrows.com. Maybe they'll write us an outro song.
Counting Crows?
Yeah, I mean, look at the pub they're getting right now.
I know, right?
Or free tickets.
We got to get Counting Crows.
Just come back to New Orleans.
Sheesh.
Imagine them trying to get out of town, dude. It's probably a headache for them as well.
They're probably flying.
No, they're tour busing, dude.
Yeah, probably so.
They've been touring since 1992,
right.
dude. They're on the bus. They know exactly what they're doing.
You're right.
Take 2 days to
State-of-the-art bus.
Yeah.
Hang a day in New Orleans.
There's some girl in there that's from New Orleans. Now she's in Jacksonville. It's like, ah, shit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I gotta work today. Well, you're not going.
It might be Kelly.
Yeah.
She's gonna call you from Jacksonville.
I'm in Mobile.
Hey, babe, come
I
down.
do love this
down.
band.
I really do. It was a great show.
I got backstage passes for Friday night.
I got an acoustic set backstage.
Enough from both of you. Enjoy your what's today? Tuesday.
Guitar player's hands.
Enjoy your Tuesday. Shut up, boy. Shout out to Go Chevrolet. Have a good day. See you.